Once again, with this institution second time.
University of Kashmir, Professor A. Ravindranath, Professor Manisha Priyam, Department of Education Policy, National University of Educational Policy and Administration, New Delhi, Professor Maithili Ramachandran, Center of Excellence in Teacher Education, TIS Mumbai, Professor Renu Nanda, Dean and Head, PG Department of Education, University of Jammu, Professor Sandeep Kumar, Department of Education, University of Delhi, Dr. Sameer Babu, Department of Educational Studies, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi, Professor Yasmin Ashai, Director Colleges, Govt of J&K, Professor Vilayat Rizvi, Registrar Cluster University, Srinagar, Professor Nazir Simdani, Principal Bemna College, Principal SP College, my dear faculty members, faculty from the Kashmir Division colleges, students, participants, paper presenters, good morning and a warm welcome to this 2 days national conference on NEP 2020, Innovative Pedagogical Approaches and Evaluation Reforms in Higher Education. I, on behalf of the whole family of IASE, express my sincere gratitude to our distinguished chief guest, Professor Dinesh Singh, for accepting our invitation and gracing the inaugural event as a chief guest. He is a distinguished academician, a teacher, an innovator, a policy maker, and the awardee of the India's highest civilian award, the most prestigious Padma Shri. He has been instrumental for launching the Innovative Designer Degree Program and also established the Cluster Innovation Center at Delhi University. He has been the former Vice Chancellor of the prestigious Delhi University, Chancellor K.R. Mangalam University, academic consultant for a number of national and international universities. His sincere efforts and the visionary approach will surely transform the educational landscape of J&K. Sir, your eloquent style, visionary and student-centric approach will inspire all of us. We have invited faculty from Kashmir Division colleges who are the participants of this program, so the impact of this conference will be all-embracing. It's my privilege and honor to welcome Professor A. Ravindranath, Vice Chancellor, Central University of Kashmir. Professor Nath is working with great dedication and determination to take the prestigious Central University of Kashmir to greater heights. He has 35 years of experience in research and trainings. He has worked in different senior academic and administrative positions in various universities. He has served as Dean Faculty of Technology, Dean Faculty of Pharmacy at Osmania University. He has been Dean Academic Affairs at Manu. He is Chairman Board of Studies in Pharmacy and Biotechnology. Professor Nath was selected and trained at the University of Cambridge, UK under the LEAP flagship program of MHRD and completed 25 trainings in pedagogy. He also acted as the chairman for the Committee on the Implementation of CBCS and CFSD by Telangana government. He is a member of the academic councils in many universities, nationally and internationally. We will also be shortly joined by Professor Umesh Rai, Vice Chancellor, University of Jammu. We are very fortunate that all the stars are falling into our institution. We will surely welcome him as and when he joins us. He is an eminent academician of international repute and has a lot to his credit. It will take me a day to talk about his achievements, but very briefly, he has his PhD in zoology from Banaras Hindu University, and he has held various senior administrative and academic positions in the prestigious Delhi University and the Banaras Hindu University. He is a council member in a number of national and international societies. He is a member of the Academic and Executive Council, University of Delhi, and he has more than 100 papers. He has attended in numerous conferences, seminars. We will be welcoming him shortly. The UT of J&K implemented NEP 2020 across all its colleges in 2023. And in 2023, we had in the same auditorium a conference in which we deliberated upon the implementation challenges of NEP 2020. Professor Manisha Priyam was a resource person and the keynote speaker. She gave a beautiful address in which she talked about she gave us a roadmap and a way forward for overcoming the implementation challenges. Professor Manisha is a researcher in educational policy and reforms, urban marginality, comparative education, policy, planning, and reforms in education are her special focus. She has a doctorate from the London School of Economics in International Development. Professor Manisha Priyam has always guided us and has helped us. Welcome, ma'am. In 2019, this institution was supported by TIS Mumbai, and a team of 9 faculty members from TIS Mumbai visited this institution to develop the curriculum for integrated B.Ed M.Ed.
Just click here. No? Okay.
It's redirecting us to our website.
Oh, okay.
This is our college website. Just to pay for it.
Very good. So who designed the website?
This is college through the eyes of drone.
So this drone capture is done by the students. Sibat we have here, which has done it for us.
The what?
No, the one here. This has been done by Sibat.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So this is the document on which our conference is based. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Picture and the overview of the college through the eyes of the drone. And the second click was done on the innovative pedagogical approaches document, the Ministry of Education document, and it is there on the screen. And the conference is actually based, it is focused. It foregrounds this document. Innovative pedagogical approaches and evaluation reforms in higher education. We have just added this phrase, higher education, because this document is adjunct to national education policy, and it talks about innovative pedagogical approaches. Now, it was already overdue, and it was much required, because usually we talk about pedagogy for school education. Most of the times, pedagogy in higher education is ignored, or you can say overlooked. But somehow this time higher education has come out with a very significant document, and it talks about all of us as we are teachers, we have been guilty of pedagogic reductionism usually in our classrooms. Pedagogic reductionism. We usually talk about innovative pedagogies. We talk about constructivism, which is already there in this document. We talk about behaviorism. We talk about critical pedagogy or liberationism. And we will talk about pedagogical mix as this document recommends. Leveraging all these 3 pedagogies together and devising a kind of a pedagogical mix, or I can say this to make, you can say, our students critical thinkers, creative, reflective thinkers. So, as teachers, when we go to classrooms, we resort to pedagogical reductionism.
Communication, research, and opportunities for cross-disciplinary and interdisciplinary thinking. Well, some of the issues or challenges we flagged earlier, we've said include financial resources, but at the same time, we also need to understand our own context. And I have to reiterate, and we've already been discussing it with Sir in our Higher Education Council meetings, that there is lack of industry engagement, due to absence of substantial private sector, while job placements also remain very limited. There are fewer takers, sir, for skill courses when we talk about ITIs and polytechnics, and there is insufficient collaboration with industries to provide practical experience and skill training. Sir, I discussed this before also, that we also have poor internet connectivity in some parts of J&K, which affects the implementation of digital learning solutions. Well, as this policy is interconnected and holistic, only a full-fledged implementation and not a piecemeal one will ensure that the desired objectives are achieved. And for a full-fledged implementation, we need to bide our time and be patient for the efforts to bear fruit. We also need to consider the people important for implementation, and by that, in our case, I mean the teachers and administrators. Well, these are the practitioners whose jobs bring them into direct contact with target population of the policy, and by the nature of their roles, they exercise significant discretion in how they carry out their work and implementation. And through their roles, teachers and administrators have notable influence over the policy, how the policy will play out. Well, NEP, if we all remember, also spells out leadership attributes. Besides having requisite academic qualifications, the NEP looks for head of the institutions who have the right administrative and leadership capabilities. They should be able to work with diverse people and manage complex situations. They shall have a strong social commitment, which I believe is very, very critical when it comes to building institutional efficiency. And NEP stresses on grooming these leaders from very early stages, and thankfully, sir, we have talented pool of principals in our UT who have ensured, and of course our honorable vice chancellors who head the universities, and they have ensured that our colleges and universities follow the spirit of NEP in true sense. But besides other factors, changes in implementation have also been attributed to embedded biases, preferences and knowledge, as well as resource constraints, which make it hard for practitioners to embrace change. So given the complexity of factors that influence implementation, it is important that we examine it through various lenses. And well, that will include cognitive, economic, organizational and critical lenses. Through cognitive lenses, the knowledge of teachers is central in policy implementation. And an alignment between the preference goals, will and capacity of teachers, which is very important in policy makers, is necessary for successful implementation of any education policy. Organizational culture and structures may also support or challenge implementation and become another important lens to understand what happens during implementation. Therefore, it is a realistic assumption that some policies may be successful while others may not do what policymakers intended. No doubt, since the implementation of NEP in J&K, there have been many transformative changes. However, I think we cannot afford to be complacent. One of the challenges is to monitor and evaluate its implementation and see whether we are going in the right direction. And I'm sure we are, under the mentorship and patronage of our Professor Dinesh Singh, who is constantly monitoring us and helping us with his very words of wisdom, how to carry on with the policy. Well, in the end, I think as a student of human development, I want to mention this, that we need to bear this in mind, that no policy document framed by humans is a word of God. Since it's conceived by humans, there's always a scope of improvement, no matter what. Even if the policy is framed in the best possible way, but the implementation phase often throws up unforeseen challenges, and it is this part that actually tests the efficacy of a policy. I think we need to be practical instead of using a flowery language or using adjectives, with different provisions of the policy. The real success would depend on how it actually translates on ground. And in fact, the NEP document clearly states that in the decade of 2030 to 2040, the entire policy will be in operational mode. following which another comprehensive review will be undertaken. Perhaps, sir, I think that time we will have far better idea as to what is working and what is not. With these words, I again thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to share my very stray thoughts. Thank you very much, and I wish this conference all the success. Thank you once again. God bless us all.
Can we teach without boundaries? And if you see some of the key issues that have been proposed by the NEP, multidisciplinarity, strengthening of training and research methods at the undergraduate level, the most challenging proposition, flexible multi-entry exit system, we can talk lots about it. Now, unless internationalization, all of these, surprisingly, even internationalization, unless our content, our style, and our pedagogy of engagement becomes one that is based on principles of knowledge. For example, a nursing course, supposedly a professional course, which can be done by people who don't want to do leisurely college education. Suppose people who want to work for that profession, women take that profession in large numbers, and suppose an easy twinning were to be done between certain important colleges in Srinagar and nursing education in Australia. The first thing that would be seen is not the topics of your syllabi, but transcripts of what you teach, how you teach. Now that means that the evaluation system must be put to test. Now, the government of Assam gave me this responsibility and said, tell us about how to internationalize for our students who don't have so much money to buy tickets and travel abroad. Now, an important thing can be the certification of your courses by established institutions. Now, what would that certification entail? Looking at your pedagogy, looking at what you teach, looking at processes where they are leading to certain levels of knowledge or not. And any society that says that with an education policy, we are going to create a knowledge society should not fear to reinvent what evaluation can be like, especially if tenets are going to be multidisciplinary. Now, I'm going to posit the last point that I have to talk to you today, and that is that remember, as teachers, as I have told you, we are students, but we are also researchers. We also evolve, and I can tell you that one of my most difficult moments in this profession has been not anything else. I think my salary has been higher than I ever expected. I have achieved everything. But the fact that I evolved in these 25, 30 years, I started off with lots of gold medals here and there. In fact, I was told in my undergraduate course, I broke the gold medal record for erstwhile Maharaja Karn Singh Ji. I don't take those things very seriously, but I turned to education. And then I turned to doing quantitative data methods. And then I turned to doing game theory and probability. Now, what does this mean? Did the system enable my transition? I matured. I matured not with wealth. I matured by just wandering from my discipline to something else. I was tethered. We appointed you in this department. You just teach this. You never teach research methods. And you will never do quant data. अब कनीज की तो आरज़ू ही यही थी कि करना ही है quant data. And I would, as a PhD student, I can tell you, my university protected my salary. किस जगह दुनिया में आपको इतना प्यार दिया जाएगा कि आपकी सैलरी को बचा के रखा गया? मुझे लगता था सरकार मेरी अपनी यूनिवर्सिटी इतना चाहती है मुझे प्रोटेक्टेड सैलरी 1 साल नहीं 2 साल, मुझे याद है सर 3 साल के लिए दिया. और मेरी तो एक ही मर्जी थी that I will study data. Not one university. I was married, I had a child, I had a father-in-law to look after. These are not bad responsibilities to have. But what would I not get? A university, sans borders, that would allow me to learn. So I think the ultimate experiment with knowledge systems under the NEP, you also have create your own degree programs, will be when your teacher himself or herself can become a learner. And remember, for doing sociology, doing anthropology, doing anything, doing some amount of numbers and quant is not a bad idea. And especially our women academic friends, I'd like to urge you that dealing with numbers, dealing with sciences, dealing with philosophy of sciences will turn you into a professional of confidence, such that then you do not fear the world in terms of its knowledge propositions. And not just you not fear the world, the students you teach them become as fearless and perhaps even more than what you've been. I'd like to end by telling you of one experiment that entices me a lot in my life as I lead my life as a teacher and as a researcher and as an academic. And that example is that of Charles Darwin. When Charles Darwin gets on to the HMS Beagle and sets sail, he discovers various continents. I don't think when he started the journey, he knew that this is a theory I will write. He was simply doing one thing which researchers do, which is observing. By observing, he notices the variation in flora and fauna, then collects samples, so to say. And these were not random samples. They became random because he already did travel a large part of the world and had samples from all over, but not by systematic design. He collects bones, and then he realizes, by using what is called the comparative method, that in geographies contained within boundaries, mutation of types was within a certain level of variation. If you go from India to Africa, continents set apart by oceans, you could see variations, you could also see similarities. Now, you will be surprised to hear that an important method in the study of philosophy of politics, in the study of social sciences, evolved from these scientific principles. It's called the comparative method. And John Stuart Mill, that great utilitarian who worked as a clerk in the colonial empire, writing chittis from Britannia Sarkar to here, John Stuart Mill then says, let's look at what is called the most similar systems design. Why were two systems that were very similar at one point of time, when do they begin to differ? Now, when you ask these questions, you realize that time is not time. Time can be 1 minute, 5 minutes, exam time. Time can be a span of thousands of years if you are the academic and the researcher. The exam then becomes a play like, oh, you're asking me to do this in 5 minutes? I'll do this for you. Now, it's your problem how you mark me. But I, as a learner of the IISc or the University of Srinagar, the Cluster University of Srinagar, must be able to get on board that journey of scholarship that is sans boundaries of disciplines, and create that body of knowledge that requires to be legitimated across boundaries of disciplines. And I would say that academic mobility, rather than merely exit and entry, is ultimately that idea of multidisciplinariness with which many changes were initiated at the University of Delhi. The two people at the helm of that, definitely the creative genius of Professor Dinesh Singh ji, but Honorable Professor Umesh Rai ji. And I believe very much that when we break our disciplinary boundaries and when we set sail, that's the moment that pedagogy and evaluation become one. With these words, I want to thank once again the organizers of this conference and allowing me to posit some of my tentative academic ideas. Remember, I'm not just talking loose, I can also tell you how various systems of evaluation can be used to allow us to move towards truly becoming the bearers of knowledge society and not the pallbearers of knowledge. Let knowledge come in and let the doors of the university open to the lights of knowledge. Thank you once again, and thank you very much.
Honorable Chief Guest, Professor Dinesh Singh, Vice Chairman, Higher Education Council, Government of J&K. Our veteran guest, Professor Umesh Rai, Honorable Vice Chancellor, University of Jammu. Our honored guest, Professor A. Ravindranath, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Central University of Kashmir. Our distinguished guest, Professor Manisha Priyan, NEP, Ministry of Education, New Delhi. Esteemed patron of this conference, Professor Yasmin Ashai, Director of Colleges, Higher Education Department, Govt of Srinagar. Our special guests from outside Jammu and Kashmir, Professor Maithili Ramchand, Professor Renu Nanda, Professor Sandeep Kumar, Dr. Samir Babu. Professor Saeed Vilayat Hussain Rizvi, Registrar, Cluster University Srinagar, Principal of the host unit, delegates representing different colleges, faculty members of the host college, paper presenters, participants, research scholars from different corners of Jammu. I feel honored to stand before you and to deliver the formal vote of thanks. At the conclusion of the inaugural session of this 2-day National Conference on NEP 2020, Innovative Pedagogical Approach and Evaluation Reforms in Higher Education, being organized by Government College of Education, IISc Srinagar. On my own behalf and on behalf of the organizing committee, extend my heartfelt gratitude and thanks to all those who have contributed to making this event a great success. First and foremost, I humbly express our deep gratitude and thanks to our Honorable Chief Guest, Professor Dinesh Singh, Vice Chairman, Higher Education Council, Govt of Jammu and Kashmir, for gracing this intellectual gathering and for delivering the presidential address. Sir, we all were deeply connected with the wisdom you share today. Sir, your knowledge and expertise to NEP 2020 and its implications for the future of higher education have enlightened all of us. And your insights into the introspective meaning of education have provided a roadmap for all the dignitaries staying here. Thank you, sir. Your presence has surely privileged to extend huge gratitude and thanks to Professor Umesh Rao, Honorable Vice Chancellor, University of Jammu, for joining this gathering of intellectuals. Such insightful deliberation and expert analysis have shed light on the need to connect knowledge with the socio-economic world and provided us valuable perspectives that will undoubtedly shape the future of higher education. Thank you, sir, for gracing this session.